Hello, Internet. My name is Zemos HD, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about a guy named ABL who defended Robert E. Lee. Um, might I remind you that ABL, or Anthony Brian Logan, is a black conservative defending Robert E. Lee. So let's hop right to it.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I got to talk about one thing that's been bothering me for quite a while because I keep seeing people repeat it, and I know that it's not true, and that is this whole narrative about, number one, Charlottesville, Virginia being this very dangerous place where the Klan comes and just beats down black people every day, and number two, this whole thing about Donald Trump saying that there were good people on both sides. People are really upset about that. They're saying that he's trying to defend white supremacists, white nationalists, KKK, etc. But we really got to get down to the actual situation so we dispel all of these false allegations. Let's start with Charlottesville first. I'm from Virginia. I lived in Virginia when the whole thing in Charlottesville happened where Heather Heyer passed away. Very unfortunate. May she rest in peace. I was in Virginia when the whole thing went down. I know guys that went to Charlottesville during that particular situation. People called me afterwards and told me what happened. So I know what was going on there. I've been to Charlottesville many times. It's right off 64 before you get to 81, right by the Afton Mountain. I've been there in the wintertime, summertime, springtime, all of that. Driving to Roanoke, Virginia, where I have family, and also to West Virginia and Canal County, where I have family. So I know about Charlottesville. All I've ever known about the place is that it's like a small college town and you have some plastic surgeons. That's pretty much all that I ever knew about Charlottesville growing up here. Now, you would think that if I'm born in West Virginia, raised in Virginia my whole life, if Charlottesville were a bad place, I would know about it, right?
So I don't think people thought that Charlottesville was a bad place before. I think people think that what happened in Charlottesville, the rally, was bad. But okay.
Somebody would tell me about that, right? Somebody would say, hey, on the way to Roanoke, don't stop right there in Charlottesville. Just keep driving, go all the way to Waynesboro or something like that. Do not stop in Charlottesville. But I never, ever heard that. So when people are saying that Charlottesville is some kind of dangerous place and you shouldn't be there, and not only do they say Charlottesville, they just say Virginia in general. Don't go to Richmond. Don't go to Virginia Beach. Don't go to Roanoke. Don't go to Fredericksburg. Don't go to Petersburg, Emporia, nowhere. Just stay away from the whole state. And you can't judge the state of Virginia based upon what happened in Charlottesville. But back to what Trump said about there being good people on both sides. What he said here is correct, 100% correct. People who do not know the situation, they're relying upon CNN and these pundits are going there, the talking heads, to tell them what happened. They think that one side of the particular conflict in Charlottesville were the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and that's it. That was just one side, and they went to Charlottesville for a so-called Klan rally. That was the whole thing, according to a lot of these people. On the other side, there were the anti-Klan, the anti-KKK, the anti-neo-Nazis, the so-called counter-protesters. So when Trump says there were good people on both sides, people think, oh, he's saying that there were good Klansmen because the only other side are those that were against the Klan. But that's just not the case. Why was anybody there in Charlottesville to begin with? Well, they were there because of the statue of Robert E. Lee on the campus of the University of Virginia, which is right there in Charlottesville. Like I said, it's a college town, UVA, big college. There was a statue right there, and this was during the whole time when they were trying to remove statues, trying to erase American history. Some people were against the statue being there. Some people were for it. Those are the two sides that Trump mentioned, pro-statue and anti-statue. On both sides of that particular situation, you had good people, regular normies, college kids, people in the town or whatever. They came out to either support the statue or to be against the statue. Okay, so let's have that be known. Then on either side of support or against, you had a lot of different people. You had KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists. You also had Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and other groups that were there for the purpose of subversion and to commit acts of violence and to fight. That is what Trump was talking about. Those are the bad people on both sides of the argument of.
So, despite the fact of the implicit association between the BLM or Black Lives Matter movement and the KKK, you do remember how Trump blatantly blamed the left for starting the violence, right? Even though it was an alt-righter who killed someone with his car, driving down a street, barreling through people, right?
What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt? Let me ask you this. What about the fact they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any problem? I think they do.
Should the statue of Robert E. Lee stay or go? Because as you know, Robert E. Lee was a Confederate general who was, by the way, from Virginia. The only reason why he fought in the Confederate Army, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below, is because he could not fight against his state. Because he's from Virginia. He could have been easily a Union general, but he wanted to stay with his own state and fight for the Confederacy. See, that's why you got to have these statues up. That's why you need to have history be out there, because if you don't have history out there, it's easy for somebody to just say, this is what happened and that's what happened, when in reality, that's not the truth.
So the article in question he's talking about is actually discussing a book, but yeah, let's read one of the quotes from Robert E. Lee. Quote, "In this enlightened age, there are few, I believe, but what will acknowledge that slavery as an institution is a moral and political evil in any country." Well, I guess I was wrong. Maybe Robert E. Lee is actually anti-slavery. Maybe I shouldn't be so quick to judge a book by its cover. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh. I forgot to read the rest of that quote. My bad. But he goes on, "I think it, however, a greater evil to the white than the black race, and while my feelings are strongly enlisted on the behalf of the latter, my sympathies are more strong for the former. The blacks are immeasurably better off here than in Africa, morally, socially, and physically. The painful discipline that they are undergoing is necessary for their instruction as a race, and I hope will prepare them and lead them to better things. How long their subjugation may be necessary is known and ordered by a wise, merciful providence." Hey, but he could have been a Union soldier. He could have been such a great Union soldier that he unironically believed in segregation, and also believed that black people and white people fundamentally couldn't live together. Okay, but all jokes aside though, seriously, why is it that conservatives always have to lie? It's getting nauseous at this point. Hopefully there isn't more bullshit.
So I wanted to put that out there because I got tired of really explaining that whole situation to people that don't want to believe it. They just think, oh, well, Trump was talking about good people on both sides. That means he was talking about there were good people on the side of the Klan and the Nazis and the white supremacists, because that is the only side aside from the counter protesters, when in reality, that's not even the whole thing. The situation was about the statue of Robert E. Lee, and that's it. So I think I explained my case pretty well. And what do you think? Do you think that I'm wrong here? Do you think that Trump was talking about something that did not exist? Or was talking about what was actually happening, which was the statue? Do you think that Trump does not know what's going on? Like, he has a lot of people that tell him things, a lot of intelligence people, a lot of very smart folks on the staff that let him know what's going on. Do you think the FBI didn't know about that rally before it happened? Okay. And to talk about some of the white supremacists right quick before I wrap up, you had people like Richard Spencer and Jason Kessler. They are now seen as the face of white supremacy and white nationalism and the far right, when in reality, when you talk to these guys, they're leftists. Kessler, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no. Oh no, he's not serious, is he?
Was an Obama guy. He may have been in the whole Occupy Wall Street. You know, he's a leftist. Same thing, Richard Spencer, another leftist. Once you get into it, a Nazi is a leftist.
Here we go with the conspiracy memes. Look, okay, I'm not gonna get into that right now, but Jason Kessler and Richard Spencer are not lefties. Now, I've actually made a video on Richard Spencer, so go watch that if you want the background on him, but I'll support my claims for Jason Kessler right now. But just to preference this, obviously, the reason why he's saying this is to cover, obviously. Now, a whole bunch of far right wingers and white nationalists were claiming that Jason Kessler was a Democratic plant or a Soros-funded, op, apparently. Of course, with literally no evidence to back up their claims, as usual, because again, they needed a convenient scapegoat to blame all of what happened in Charlottesville on. ABL, obviously, is just trying to use this to shift blame from the right to the left, which is pretty hard to do considering the fact that it was called Unite the Right. But hey, let's just ignore that part.
That's their whole thing. They're for expanding borders and tight gun control and, really tight control. A far right person would not be for all the control, for all the government regulation, therefore loosening the government, less regulation, to the point of almost like you got to be a prepper, be out there and fend for yourself. You're not going to be involved with trying to dominate and rule over other people. That's not the extreme when you go to the right. The extreme to the left has to be violence, because in order to control people, in order to have society operate in this way, to have some kind of utopia be the result, you got to have violence to enforce the control.
What I find really interesting about this lie, because it's a lie, is the fact that they are for control, literally controlling borders. I don't understand. And they're also far right. I don't know what he thinks far right is, but he's definitely got the wrong definition. The person he's talking about definitely sounds like some crazy conspiracy theorist or some sort of libertarian of some kind, not a far right person or whatever. Oh, and one last thing, Jason Kessler definitely is far right. Here's the evidence for that claim.
That's just my 2 cents, but whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
So what have we learned from this? Well, ABL is most likely either illiterate or a huge liar. He will intentionally revise facts to fit a narrative, and he doesn't know how the political compass works. But I mean, hey, you could have learned that by watching a Destiny debate with him. So this video was ultimately pointless. Alright.
Wait till you see the. No, 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 no. Look at the top of his head.